Hey,
Hello, my name is Selena.
and my name's Theoni, and you are listening to Piping Hot.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Piping Hot. We are so excited that you're here with us.
We are so excited. I'm very excited for today's episode. I'm not really sure what kind of mental state I'm in. I'm gonna be honest. I took 2 separate naps today. Both
Good for you.
45 minutes long. I don't know what was happening. But here's my thing. I'm scared to nap for a long time, so I set an alarm every 15 minutes, but then I keep resetting it. What kind of weird thing is that? I don't really understand it, but I partly feel rested, but I still feel really tired. So
Yeah, I mean, good for you for setting an alarm, because I don't. And I just trust myself that I'll wake up, and then I wake up 2 hours later, and I'm like, okay.
well, that's the problem. I'm afraid if I shut off my light and didn't set an alarm, I would just sleep the night away, but then I'd never get to actually sleep at night, you know?
Yeah, no, you're right,
So.
you're right.
Yeah. How's your week going?
It's going good. It is so busy at work. I want to die.
Oh,
My manager is out of town and she's on vacation. You know, good for her. She's living her best life. That's great. But it's almost like our clients know that she's out of town. So they're like, oh, she's out of town. Let's just give Selena every possible scenario for her to solve by herself. Literally last week I had nothing to do. And suddenly all of these things are popping up. I'm like, someone is out to get me. I swear.
no, literally.
So-
This is, what did I do to deserve this?
Yeah. And so I'm just been so annoyed. And today I'm also so annoyed from today as well. Just because I work with the stupidest people ever. And I'm just I need to take multiple deep breaths. I had to come to Jesus moment while I was making my tea earlier. I was just you know what, Selena? You're fine. You're okay. You got this. The day's over. Thank God.
Yeah, it's you have to give yourself a pep talk and be okay, now I'm allowed to chill out. The work day is done. I need to just put it aside.
Yeah, so
Nice.
it's fine. And then I'm also in revising hell as well. You know, my life is just imploding on itself.
Great. So
I know.
Let me just point something out. When you started that rant, you said, oh, it was really good. And then proceeded to say why it sucked. So, let's use a different adjective next time.
I just like to downplay things because then mentally in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine. I'm fine, right? I'm gaslighting myself constantly.
That's healthy.
I know, right? Oh my gosh.
That's really good.
But yes, I'm in revising hell. I quickly revised my entire book in a week and a half. And I'm going to take a break, touch some grass. I tried to do some planning earlier this afternoon. And I just could not do it. It was pissing me off. So I was like, whoa, Selena, you need to take a step back.
No, literally.
I thought I was okay to go in and start revising, even though it's literally been less than 24 hours. And I'm like, no, you need more time. And I'm just really anxious about it because I messaged all of the agents who had liked my pitch last week. And I told them, I was like, hey, just to let you know, I'm going to submit it later because I'm making revisions. And they've all been very understanding. They're like, yeah, take your time. And I'm like, okay, yes, I'll take my time. But I feel this urgency to submit, you know?
100%. And as much as they say take your time, you still want to be timely about it. So yes, take a little longer than a few days like you were originally saying. But you also don't want to take all the time in the world because while you want to build off of their excitement.
Yes, exactly. So that's why I'm feeling so torn where it's I have all the time in the world. I'm like, no, I don't. So
yeah,
I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to chill, go touch more grass. I don't know.
I hope the grass is very healing for you, because I feel like I've heard that phrase so many times. I'm like, that better be some good grass, because like it's trying to solve all the problems.
Archie and Cora eat the grass, so it better be fucking nutritious and give me life, like something.
Oh my goodness.
Any other life updates from you?
Did I give up life?
I don't know. If you have it, tell me.
Those weren't words. No, I don't think I have any life updates. I am going to Kansas this upcoming weekend to surprise my whole family for my little cousin's graduation. So I'm really, really excited.
That's
only
amazing.
My dad and my aunt know, because I needed like someone to coordinate with, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But I am very, very excited. And it just happens to be like my mom's birthday is weekend and it's Mother's Day. So I was this feels like a good weekend to like make the surprise. So I'm going to do that. What else? I don't really think there's any other updates because my life is kind of boring, so.
Yeah.
Are you judging me for my accent?
No, your life is really boring.
That's bloody awful.
Yeah.
Of you.
What days are you leaving? Like, when are you going to be out of town? Are you taking off work?
So I'm leaving Friday night, so I won't miss any work. My flight may or may not come back Monday morning, and I may or may not be sick on Monday. I was too afraid to ask for it off. Because I've already asked so much other time off for things.
Okay. But also you deserve that time, and you have PTO, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if I have any left, to be honest. I'm just kind of like rolling with it because because after everything that happened with my you know, like I was gone so much, so. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I sounded like Josh Gad. You know Josh Gad?
What kind of fucking question is that?
I don't know, Selena. You can't even remember people's names sometimes.
Oh, please. I'm a fake fan, so I don't know anyone from anyone. I know who he is. Bear Claw, you mean? That's his real name?
No, literally. That's his most important role, obviously.
No, really.
But yeah, I should add that to my list of celebrity impressions.
You should.
We should make an episode of that. Our celebrity impressions.
I don't have any.
Well,
I'll learn
one.
I'll learn.
Yeah. Okay, wait. If you had to learn a celebrity impression, whose would it be?
Well, I think the easiest that I could do would be Ariana Grande.
Why? Because you could just go, yeah.
No.
Oh.
No. I mean, yes, but no.
Can you do a whistle note?
No.
Thank you. Thanks. I know. You don't have to say anything. I know what you're thinking. It's really good. I know. It came out of nowhere. I've been hiding it. My talent.
Shut up. Don't ask.
I'm so tired, but I've also had so much caffeine that there's like two wars. There's a war in my brain.
You need to like touch
grass
caffeine and touch grass because yesterday you were like this too. You were like, I had coffee and then I had this, and I'm like shaking and I'm like, girl.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good segue into what we're drinking today. Yeah. I'm drinking coffee.
You're drinking coffee.
Yes, but
this evening.
This evening, I am drinking coffee. But to be fair, I got this chocolate caramel coffee creamer, and I really like it. And I wanted to actually have energy for this podcast. And look at me. Energy.
You're never going to go to sleep. You're ruining your schedule.
Well, what you gonna do? The reality of this situation is I get shit sleep regardless. Okay, I'm tired during the day regardless. Yeah. So I may as well wire myself up with some caffeine and live my life.
Okay. You have every right to do so.
Thank you. What are you drinking today?
I'm drinking motherfucking chamomile manuka honey vanilla tea. Because fuck these people at work. Fuck this fucking revision. And fuck your judgment about this tea because I love it.
It's not the tea. It's that that's all you fucking drink. Switch it up for the love of God. One day you're going to take a sip of that and you're going to be like, this is the nastiest shit I've ever drank. And you're going to ruin it for yourself forever.
No, I won't. No, I won't.
Wait. Just wait and see.
Okay,
Just
I
like
will.
you have to wait and see how hot Colin is going to be in season 3.
Oh, please.
Please. Oh, you know.
I'm sorry.
You've seen the pictures with
after
the
King
arms.
George, no.
Honey boo boo.
You can't tell me that smirk is going to be better than anything Colin can give.
No, you just have to wait and see. Give him a chance to come into his... You hated Anthony. You hated Anthony first season. He was gross and crusty.
Okay.
And now we all love him. So?
You're right, but I was like willing to give him a chance. Colin, on the other hand, I'm like, fuck you.
Okay, well, you can be wrong. I'm going to drink my coffee and you can drink your chamomile tea.
I was going to say that I can't drink coffee like anytime past like 11 a.m. or I will stay up all night.
Wow.
I know, I'm like old.
I guess I don't know what to say, but okay, cool.
That's why I was like, you're drinking it now? You're literally drinking it now because that like blows my mind.
Yeah, it's 7 p.m.
Yeah, girl.
Could backfire. We'll see.
Okay. Moving on. What are you reading, watching, listening, consuming?
I was going to start a book the other night, but I didn't. But I'm about to start yours. What's it called? Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I think that's how you pronounce it. So I'm very excited to start that. It was my book of the month read this month. Nice. So I'm very excited for that. Oh, and I did finish Bared to You by Sylvia Day.
I want to know your thoughts. I feel so bad that I haven't finished it. It's just, I'm still on like chapter 7 or whatever the fuck.
Oh, no, that's okay. It's exactly what I thought it would be. I mean, the writing is not like fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's literally like all sex. But here's the thing, because it's all sex, I want it to be some nasty shit. Like if I'm going to read a book that's like straight sex, I need it to be like dirty.
Okay, but also there are like 5 books and they just met. Like they've known each other for like a week.
Yo, and that's part of the problem right there.
I know.
That's part of the problem. But, you know, I'm going to keep reading them all. Because I need to know.
It gets so good. I don't think like the sex gets like so dirty. It's not like 50 Shades of Grey where there's like BDSM or whatever. But it's still like really good. Like the plot gets so good and I just love Gideon. Like I love him so much.
I just imagine Gideon without the long hair. The long hair like kind of ruins it for me.
Oh, please. Okay.
No, but like literally, I'm not a long hair person.
Okay. You can have that opinion.
What are you reading?
Okay, so I forgot a couple weeks ago, before we had read Happy Place, I finished The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. Which was like a really long time ago. But I liked it. My problem, though, I think, was that I was expecting more sex, and then there wasn't. So I think that's why I was so, like, disoriented.
Sure.
But, like, the sex that was included was good. I liked it. I just thought there would be, like, way more.
No, it's very plot-heavy as well.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't expecting either. Okay. So it was just, like, really disorienting. And maybe I just, like, came into it thinking that it was going to be something different. And that's why it was, like, weird. But,
I get you.
No, it was good.
Well, now when you read Terms and Conditions, you'll know you're gonna be obsessed. You are.
Hopefully.
I'm telling you.
And then I just started last night Defend the Dawn by Bridget Kemmerer, which is the second book in the Defy the Night trilogy or whatever it is. I really, really, really loved the Defy the Night, so I'm a little nervous about Defend the Dawn because sequels have been like letting me down lately, but I just needed something easy and to get back into my young adult fantasy kick now that I'm like revising. So
Nice. Well, I hope
Yeah.
it's good and like lives up to expectations, you know.
I hope so too.
Very nice. What are you watching?
Nothing except the TV show that we're going to talk about.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, what about you?
I am back in my Shark Tank phase.
Love
Don't
it.
ask me why, but every once in a while it's like the best.
Honestly, it's so good. I love it. Ugh.
Who's your favorite shark?
Oh, that's hard. Well, okay, so favorite shark or shark that I would go in a deal with? Because those are two different. Okay.
Either or.
I think Kevin is so funny. Mr. Wonderful, because he's just like so no bullshit, and I love that. And I think he really, really puts the business owners like to the test. But if I went in and I went to go get a deal, it would have to be Mark or Lori. What about you?
I get you.
What about you?
See, I don't know. I think it's like choosing between my favorite children.
I know.
But
You don't have children.
I do love Barbara because she stays horny and like I relate.
Yes.
And but I think maybe I also would do a deal with Barbara, but also Mark because he's rich as hell.
Yeah, but also I feel like Mark touches grass and he understands.
Yes.
Like, he can come down.
Yeah, he's also down to earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he knows, and I love it.
What are you listening to?
So I think the last time that we had talked, I was listening to Fearless, Taylor's version by Taylor Swift, listening to that entire album, which was great. Now I'm in my folklore era. And so I've been listening to that album. You know what, though? It's so crazy because when folklore came out, I did not like it. Like I just like didn't vibe with it.
Yeah.
And I was more like an Evermore girl versus folklore. So I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to Evermore, kind of gonna neglect folklore. After reading Happy Place, I went to that album and I'm like, oh, this is Harriet and Wynn. That entire album is Harriet and Wynn. Yeah, it's
okay.
Crazy.
Maybe I need to go listen now.
You have to, and then just think about like it literally goes through like their phases of their relationship, and it's insane. Insane. And so I've been in my feels.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah. What about you?
Let me check. I have been listening to the Positions album again by Ariana Grande. I'm just like every once in a while I start listening to that again and like I'm just obsessed with it. But I also just recently made my May 2023 playlist and I'll continue adding to it. But I did find a couple new songs that I like. So there's called Woman of the Hour by Stella Cole. And then also Champion by Neoni and Burn Boy. They're kind of like badass songs. I really like that. So
very nice.
Yeah. I just started listening to those today though. So I might hate them by next week. We'll see. But at least I have something to say.
Yeah. And what are you consuming?
Pasta from this one restaurant.
Me too. Oh,
wow.
but I'm eating pasta that I cooked.
Is it your garlic chicken pasta?
No, it's not. It's stuffed tortellini.
That's
really good.
Oh, wow. That sounds really good.
You had pizza, right?
Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. Yes, I had pizza from my favorite place called the Upper Crust. So I got pizza from there, and I had pasta from this one restaurant in the North End the other day. It was like a calamari pasta. It was really good.
Gosh.
And then I've been eating a lot of charcuterie just because I bought it one night on an impulse. But like for one person, that shit lasts you forever.
I know.
So I've basically been subsisting off of that.
Nice.
Like I had pizza for breakfast this morning, as you know.
Yes, I do know. But I love leftovers.
Yeah, no, they are good. So
nice.
Yeehaw. All right, shall we go into our pop culture?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alrighty.
Do you want to start?
I have way less than you, but I'll start, yeah. Okay, so the first piece of news that really isn't exciting, but Dancing with the Stars is back on ABC, which I thought was really interesting because they jumped to Disney Plus for one season and now they're back to ABC. So I don't really know why that was. But yeah.
They jumped to Disney Plus?
Yeah, last season was on Disney Plus.
I did not know that.
Yep, and now they're bouncing back to ABC, so which is very interesting. I'm not sure why there was like a 1-year hiatus. I wonder if it was like it wasn't doing that well anymore. So then like Disney Plus picked it up, but then it did really well. So they took it back. I really have no idea.
That's weird. Okay.
Yeah. So that's that. My second one is that Robert De Niro had his 7th child.
I saw.
And he is 79 years old.
I saw.
Here's the thing.
Tell me.
Okay, maybe this makes me sound like a shit person, but like I feel really bad for that kid. Like your dad is like 80 years older than you. Like you're not going to have very much life with him.
Yeah.
You know, and like I don't know. I feel like it's like a Nick Cannon situation where I just feel like, I mean, live your life, but it just feels like that would just make life so complicated. But
the thing is, though, is that like a part of me is like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Like 79, what the heck? But I understand how that like he's probably not going to be in this child's life for a really long time. He's 79, but also like the child will be fine. He is so rich. I feel like anyone else, any regular person would never do this, you know?
No, I get you. But still, like money doesn't equate to like a human.
Yeah, you're right. But also these people are so rich. They're in a whole different world than I am, so I have no clue.
That's true. So what can we even say about it? Yeah, I get you. I just have to say that Anthony Ramos is the worst. And it really stinks that one of my celeb crushes has to kick the can. But he's been giving me the ick slowly for a while.
Yes.
But now I just hate him.
Yeah,
What's that one quote that he has a new song coming out? And one of the line ones, she had a rock on her hand.
I left her with a rock on her hand and some sort of secret or something like that. I don't know.
With my demons, while I struggled with my demons or something. I was like, Anthony, we
saw the footage.
You ain't trying to get empathy from us after you cheated on her. We had that picture in 4D. What are you trying to tell? Like, no. I'm set. I'm all good.
Same. It's so funny, though. I'm living for the tea and the comments because people are like, oh, this is my Reynolds pamphlet. And I'm like, fuck yeah, it is.
No,
yeah,
literally,
it is.
People are coming after him. And it's so unfortunate because I feel like slowly he's just got more and more annoying. And his first album, The Good and the Bad, is like literally one of my favorite albums of all time. And it just sucks that now I'm just like, you're annoying.
Yeah, I agree. It's unfortunate that he's fallen so far. I don't know, but also too, just like leave her alone.
Literally,
like the drama hasn't come up in a really long time, and I thought we were past it. But I'm like, you don't need to dig this up because everyone saw what you did. Like, we don't need your side. You know what I mean?
No, literally,
like it's weird.
That's what I mean. Or like write it from a side of like regret or like what you learned from it, but don't be shady about it.
I know!
Like, that's the worst possible way to handle like what you did.
Yeah.
So whatever. That's how I feel about that. And scene. So what are your pop culture things?
Okay, I have a couple. So the last time that we had recorded, we just went right in because we had so much to talk about for Happy Place that we didn't get a chance to talk about the Met Ball. Did you see any of the pictures and stuff?
I did, yeah. I mean, I know that there was a lot of controversy around it just because it was like Karl Lagerfeld themed and he does not have a good reputation, to say the least.
Yep.
And so, which is interesting. I definitely think there were some cool looks, but I also think like, yes, he's a fashion icon, but at the same time, it's like, I felt like the looks were a little less or exciting than usual.
I agree, yeah.
That was kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, this Met Ball was just like meh. Like, I mean, it was fine. It was a lot of black and white. I mean, some people had some really cool outfits. Others were just like, whatever. But yeah, no, I felt like this one was okay to miss. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
But yeah. So my next pop culture thing is that the Bama Rush trailer dropped. Have you seen it?
Mm-mm.
So it's basically a documentary on HBO Max about the sorority life at Alabama University, or the University of Alabama. I don't know. One of those. And how huge Greek life is there. And it's like insane. I knew a girl from high school who literally went to Alabama just for sorority life. And I was like, okay, you live your life, I guess.
That's another level. I can't even imagine that, but...
Yeah, but the trailer is so insane. You should go watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well...
My next pop culture thing is that mom and dad was spotted at the Lakers game together.
They were.
I know.
So cute. They're so cute. It makes me want to throw up. Mom and dad is Tom and Zendaya.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry,
just so
everyone.
You guys know. But I just like seeing them happy and living their regular life. Tom Holland also like recently told everybody that he's 1 year sober. So good for him.
I did not hear that.
Yeah, so I think that like came out today. So that's really good.
Good for him.
Proud of him.
Yeah.
And yeah, it seems like they're doing well, which I love to see.
I know, and I just because we never see them out and about like that. So like when I saw that they were at a Lakers game, I was like, oh, to be there. I mean, also Lakers and Golden State, the game is very entertaining, but I would have just watched Zendaya and Tom the entire time.
Like if I can catch a sneak of catch a sneak, bitch. No, catch a peek of the romance. That's what I meant to say.
I know.
Yeah.
I just like love them so much.
I know.
Okay. Taylor Swift on her first night performing in Nashville announced her Speak Now Taylor's version being released July 7th in time for July 9th. And I'm literally so excited. I'm so excited. I love that album. Love that album. I'm so sad because I'm seeing her on June 24th. So I like just missed the cutoff for her because I know her first show after that album drops, she's going to be playing Speak Now songs. Will. Yes! Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a little sad about that, but I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
That is really exciting. And I feel like Taylor Swift's first 3 albums were the ones that I still kind of listen to. And so, like, I'm actually kind of excited for that.
Like, Haunted?
No, you know what song got me better than Revenge?
I know!
I love that. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Honestly, love it. But yeah, I'm very excited about that. The Writers Guild of America is on strike. So it's been taking a bunch of my social media. All my timelines are about the strike, and a lot of productions have been halted because of it. And I just hope that it all goes well. I mean, I think it's been almost 2 weeks now that they've been on strike. So
I hope stuff gets figured out, because isn't it a whole thing because like AI is making their work. This is why I hate AI.
I know,
this is ridiculous. Like, that's not.
Yeah, the unions like ask was that like, hey, we don't want AI to take any of our work. And then the companies, whoever, rejected that clause. And I was like, I'm sorry, you rejected a clause about AI? Like, I'm like, no, And I think what I've heard is that the writers are only asking for a 2% or 3% raise. Like, that's all that they're asking for. And I was like, okay.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, these days, I feel like in certain situations, you can't even ask for the bare minimum.
I know.
Like, absurd.
I know. It's crazy.
And, like, people act like people are crazy for that. And I'm like, they're just asking for what they're worth.
Yes, exactly.
I hope they get it figured out soon, because otherwise it could affect how many episodes Abbott Elementary has.
Yes, no, I was just going to say the whole cast of Abbott Elementary was there. And it's so funny. The showrunner's sign, her sign was like, what was it? What's her Janine's ex-boyfriend's name?
Tyreek.
Tyreek. They're like, I think her sign was like, oh, like no one else can write Tyreek's raps except these writers or something like that. It was so funny because I was like, wait, you're right though. His stupid raps. Like,
oh my god. I love Tyreek. Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
But yeah, so I'm hoping that like all of that goes well. And then my last pop culture item is that Ed Sheeran was found not guilty of plagiarizing Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On.
Thank goodness.
I know.
Honestly, we talked about this a couple episodes ago, so I'm not going to go into it again.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm so sick of these music lawsuits. Like, I can't deal with it.
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like,
It's
you
so
guys,
dumb.
there's only so many chords in the entire universe.
Literally.
Like,
And
really?
especially when you look at someone like Ed Sheeran, who's known for being such a good songwriter and, like, original and these things. Like, he's not... Like, he's smart enough that he was going to do something, he would sample it. Like,
Yes!
he's not... No. Just because they sound similar does not mean they were copying you.
Yeah, exactly.
So. Whatever.
Yeah, but that is all that I have for pop culture.
Alrighty. Well, Selena, do you want to tell our audience what we're talking about today?
Yes. So by now, you know that Theoni and I don't really stick to a plan. So,
Yep.
of course, this week's episode, we are talking about a new show on Netflix. It is called Queen Charlotte, but it is a prequel almost to Bridgerton. So it's technically called like Bridgerton's Queen Charlotte because it lives within that Bridgerton universe. And I think it was released a couple weeks ago. There are 6 episodes. And so Theoni and I watched all the episodes and we are here to discuss.
I am so excited. I really didn't know what to expect for this show because like Bridgerton itself, both seasons have been so incredible that like I feel like prequels or like sequels or whatever can either go really well or really bad. So I was kind of nervous to watch it, honestly.
I'll be honest, it wasn't even on my radar. Like, I love, like, don't get me wrong, I love Bridgerton, but because this was, like, technically a prequel about the queen, not even, like, about the Bridgerton kids or even, like, Featherington or any of those other families, literally the queen, I was just like, you know, I don't really care for it. And it wasn't until you texted me that I was like, oh, you're right, it was released. So it wasn't on my radar. And I think as a segue to go into my overall thoughts, I didn't need this TV show, okay? But I am happy I have it now.
That is the perfect way to say it, honestly. Because like I never thought that I would want this, but then watching it, like now after watching it, I'm like, I want an origin story for Violet Bridgerton and like how she met Edmund and like all of those things, because obviously we get young Violet in the show.
Yeah.
And so like I want to hear more about that. Like it's just so intriguing to me. And honestly, like I've seen these TikToks about now scenes in the Bridgerton show that like Queen Charlotte would be in, and then now knowing what we know, it like changes your whole perspective.
Yes.
And God, my Lord.
It hits so much harder
It does.
when you watch this show in the context of the 2 Bridgerton seasons out right now.
No, 100%. I kind of want to rewatch Bridgerton, honestly.
I'll probably just rewatch the 2nd season because I'm a hoe for Anthony.
Yeah, no, I know you are.
I really am.
Yeah. Other overall thoughts, I don't know. I just really, really liked it. I wish we had gotten 8 episodes just like the other seasons, but I will take what I can get.
Same.
I just loved it. I really did. I just really like... Sorry.
Are you okay? What the heck?
I'm not. I really think like young King George, like I want him, you know?
Yes.
Like I just think he's so attractive, and he's like, there's like the hint of like golden retriever energy or like, I don't know what it is. I'm a sucker for a smile. The way that man smiles and laughs, I'm getting like chills. Not chills, tingles. I'm getting tingles thinking about it. Like, I love that man.
It's like, I was going to say the 2 main leads, I don't know their names, I'm a fake fan, had so much chemistry together.
Yeah, Corey and India.
I could not believe it. Like, this is insane that they keep finding couple after couple, actors and actresses, one after the other, that have insane amounts of chemistry.
No,
where I'm like, This is like fake. This is so fake.
No, literally, the casting directors for these shows are brilliant.
Yes.
Like, there's no other way to say it.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I feel like those are my overall thoughts. I just really enjoyed it. I love being in the Bridgerton world. Like,
Same.
I think it's always, and I'm obsessed with the music. Like, I am literally so obsessed.
Okay.
And I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, same. I was going to say something, but I'm like, no, I'm going to save it. Okay. Let's dive into episode 1.
Alrighty.
So, today's episode synopses are brought to you by Wikipedia. So we can thank Wikipedia for this. Okay, episode 1. Charlotte finds out that her brother has signed a contract for her to marry King George III. Before the wedding can go through, Charlotte attempts to run away, but is caught by a charming man who turns out to be her future husband. She decides to go through with the marriage, but is surprised when, on the night of the wedding, he presents her with her own house, but informs her of his intentions to live a completely separate life in Kew. Fast forward to the present, Queen Charlotte learns her only legitimate granddaughter, Princess Charlotte of Wales, has died in childbirth, kicking off a secession crisis. She urges her surviving 12 children to produce legitimate heirs. First of all, I did not know this was going to be a dual timeline. I was shooketh when we were bounced to the present, and it was like older Queen Charlotte that we know. And I was like, wait a second. What is happening? Like, what? I didn't know what was, like, it was crazy.
I was not expecting that, but I honestly loved it. Because, like, by the time it got to the end of the show, like, it just, like, felt, like, so complete.
Yes, I agree. Finding out, maybe I am a fake fan and I just didn't know or didn't catch this piece of information when I was watching Bridgerton. But that Queen Charlotte had 12 kids?
No, she had 13 kids and 15 kids total, and 2 of them died. So she had 13.
Was I just living under a rock?
No, literally. I had no idea she had that many too.
Yes!
Giving birth to that many children, especially back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. Well, I can't even think about, oh my God. Like, ow.
No, same. Like double digits, no. But the thing is too, when we learned this piece of information, we had just come off of the whole scene of him leaving her at her house. So when I learned that they had 13 kids together, I was like, I'm sorry. You're telling me that he left her at this house by herself and they miraculously had 13 kids? I'm like, there's more to this. Like, there has to be more.
Well, yeah, because if they're popping out that many kids, they must have been really busy.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
So I wasn't feeling this episode until they met in the garden. And it was so Bridgerton. Like, that encounter was so Bridgerton that I ate it up. I ate it up.
I knew the minute he showed up that's like who it was. Him. And I just like died. Like, the banter was so, everything about that was so spot on. And the smile, God damn, it was so good.
It was so good. I loved it so much.
When Charlotte said, he's like, what do you want to know? And she was like, tell me everything. He was like, everything? And she was like, yeah. And then he like actually tried to tell her everything.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I need.
But then at the end of his like little spiel, he was like, oh, I'm just George.
Oh, my George.
Yeah, right? Right? And I knew that was going to be a little tidbit that would be dropped in every single episode of Just George. I thought you were just George or whatever. Yeah.
I'm already starting to cry. Dear God.
Yeah. So I need your opinion on this.
Okay.
Because I'm a little conflicted. Lady Danbury. I didn't need her backstory. Like, I honestly thought that it would have been fine. The show would have been fine without her backstory. Because I feel like she already brings such a presence in Bridgerton, where I was so conflicted, and I found myself having a hard time staying invested in her storyline.
I agree. It just felt
Okay.
really unnecessary and kind of like took time away from
Yeah.
Charlotte and George, which I could have, of course, used more of. And like,
Yeah.
I would have loved to see a young Lady Danbury, kind of similar to how we did Violet Bridgerton, where like
Yes.
it played into things. But like, again, I wonder if the purpose of having so much Lady Danbury was to like set up now what's going on in the present with like Violet
Yeah.
and Lady Danbury and like all of that. So I think for that, in that realm, I guess it makes sense. But like the amount of times we had to see her having miserable sex with that old fucking hag, I wanted to die. Like, I don't need that.
I was so uncomfortable with the amount of scenes that they put in of that.
But
Like,
they
that was
didn't
not
need that.
necessary.
It was so unnecessary.
Yes. Like, honestly, the first scene that you showed us of her having sex with her husband and then jumping in the bath, like, we got the message.
We're
get
good.
it.
We get it. I don't need that again.
Yeah.
I know you're miserable. Fine.
I know. Yeah. It was just really weird. Okay, so let's talk about them going home after the wedding. The wedding went great. I loved the wedding, right? Mm-hmm. I was just so confused. And I think, unfortunately, that was one of my biggest gripes with the show. That, like, I couldn't figure out George. And they held out for so long that I was just, like, pissed the entire time. I was like, just tell me the truth. Like, you just need to tell me the truth. Like, this is so dumb. Like, I don't know.
See, I don't think it pissed me off because I knew by the end of it, like, it would be all happy because it's not going to not be happy, you know? But, like, I think it's just, like, with the condition that George had, I think it made sense because, like, he couldn't tell anyone and he was so embarrassed and he was losing his mind over everything going on with himself that, like, he was so afraid to share that with everyone. So, like, I don't know. I think it kind of made sense. I feel like if he had come around too quick, then it kind of would have been like sweeping how serious that was under the rug.
Got it. Okay.
And I think that might have ruined it for me more.
Well, I think for me, because I knew it was 6 episodes, where normally we get 8 or 10, right? Mm-hmm. Because I knew it was 6 episodes, they held up for too long where I was like, oh no, we're not going to get a happy ending. Like, that was my fear. And also, too, like, I wasn't sure how Queen Charlotte in the present felt. Because, again, I was still, like, a little iffy on it, and I didn't have a good grasp on her current relationship with the king. And so I was just, like, a little disoriented. But I agree that because the show was so short and not to sweep his disease under the rug, that makes sense. When he yelled at her at the house, I was like, back the fuck up. Holy shit.
I was so pissed. But that India's acting in that moment when she like took a step back when he came towards her and was like, anything else, Your Majesty? Like, she was so calm and collected, but somehow you still felt like the annoyance and the hurt like, seeping through. Like, that was some top tier acting. Like, that scene was like so well done. I was pissed as heck at him.
Me too.
But like, it was so well done, I thought.
I agree. And also too, she kind of ends like the conversation where I don't know what he says, but she ends it almost like, oh, I thought you were just George, like my mistake or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah.
You tell him.
Honestly, like, young Charlotte was the best part of the show. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I love young George and he's amazing and charming or whatever. But young Charlotte and India's acting just was amazing.
Like, incredible.
Amazing.
Like, I wish I could get more of it, honestly.
Yes.
Ugh.
Like, so good. And yeah, that is the end of episode 1. Do you have any other comments?
I do not, no.
Okay.
In 1761, which is like back in the,
Yep.
Charlotte spends most of her honeymoon alone. She learns that she has no activities planned as she is supposed to be with George. Despite this, she invites the newly minted Lady Danbury to tea, where Lady Danbury, learning of Charlotte's ignorance, explains sex to her. Princess Augusta, desperate to know if her son has consummated his marriage, tries to pressure Lady Danbury into telling her. However, Lady Danbury, who is still suffering from segregated society despite her husband's title, uses her leverage to pressure Princess Augusta into further supporting her and her husband. George reveals to Charlotte that he left her on the marriage night as he was charting the transit of Venus. He asks Charlotte for a redo of their marriage night, and the two finally consummate their marriage. However, the following morning, she overhears a conversation between George and his mother in which he reveals he is hiding his true self from her.
This episode went from like 0 to 100 to a 0. Like, so much.
I made a note about how, like, literally the montage of Charlotte, like, her, like, on her honeymoon, living her life, like, just getting dressed and eating by herself was so depressing to me.
Yeah.
I was like, dear Lord, like, can you imagine?
Yeah, I think what Shonda Rhimes did that was excellent for this show is that she utilized a lot of non-speaking actions. Mm-hmm. Like, we didn't need a story with characters doing a monologue. She really utilized a lot of the daily actions, routines to tell us a story, which is how episode 1 had opened with her finding out she was going to be married off. And then this too, which is so incredibly depressing. Like, we don't even need Charlotte to say that she's angry or sad because we already know.
Exactly. Like, they played that well.
Yes, really, really well.
Okay, this is so funny. Some of my notes in this episode. There's one note that said, "Are the two guards vibing? He wanted to go inside to get warm." And then the next note said, "Oh, they just kissed. Ha ha ha. I was right." In quotes, "Let's hope for 20. Ha 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 ha." This side storyline with Brimsley and Reynolds.
It was really cute. I will say, I am upset that we don't know what happened to Reynolds.
We better frickin' find out.
I know, like, we better.
The fact that we didn't,
it made me want to cry.
I think the assumption is that he probably, like, died or something, but, like, still.
But I need closure.
I would have rather had more of them than, like, more of them, less Lady Danbury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how I feel. Oh my God. This part where George bought her a fucking dog killed me. Her reaction to it when she called it, what did she call it? Like a
deformed bunny.
That killed me. Like, Charlotte's character is just so clear.
Yeah.
And I love how that came back later.
I know.
Which we'll talk about. But yeah. I also love the scene where Lady Danbury was teaching her about sex. Like, when I saw all of the diagrams, like, drawn out, I was dying. I was like, dang, you really, like, you showed her all the positions. And I was like, here's what I was thinking in my head, though. How does Lady Danbury know all of that? Because she's having sex with a man who's, like, practically already dead.
Exactly.
You really think that man is doing all those positions? No way, honey. So how's she know?
Also,
that's what I want to know.
Also, who drew the diagrams? Because they were really good diagrams. Like, I was like,
unless she's an artist, but
I know. I was like, this is a little too detailed almost.
I know.
Like,
literally. Dear Lord. So I think there's this one part in this. I think it's in this episode. I have a note that says, OMG, them in the conservatory is hot and they're just looking at a planet. I'm pretty sure this is the part where she's, like, looking in the telescope and she's like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And he is looking at her and he says it is. God, those moments, I eat them up every single time.
Screaming, crying, throwing up. I passed away, came back to life. Like,
literally.
I was like, George, honey, why are you being so weird then? Like, literally. I was like, I need answers. But I was like, okay, it's the second episode. I can chill. Yep. But I was like, dude, really?
I know. Seriously. Okay, there's this other quote I have where Charlotte says, I do not forgive you. Or no, she says, I do not forgive you yet. And then George says, yet is good. Yet is hope.
I love that line too. Honestly, the writing, I looked and, like, Shonda Rhimes wrote, like, half this show and it was honestly brilliant. Brilliant.
So good.
Yes.
Ugh. Okay. Oh, yes. I forgot this happened in this episode.
Okay.
When they consummate the marriage. She's, like, being all cute and nervous or whatever. And she's like, oh, maybe I should have chosen something else. There's, like, 1,000 tiny buttons. And he says, I'm very good with buttons. For those, I literally had to pause the show and take a step back. I was like, what do you mean you're good with buttons?
You're like, tell me more.
Literally, I was like, oh my God. I could literally. And then the only last thing I have about this episode is I remember leaving it feeling so worried. I was like, what is he sick with? Because it kind of ended on a cliffhanger, and I was like, I want to know, like, what the heck is going on? Like, why is he acting so, like, back and forth?
Yeah.
So
I think there were too many characters who, like, walked in on conversations that they shouldn't have been hearing in this show.
What do you mean?
Like, there were too many characters just standing outside the door eavesdropping on these conversations, where I was like, I think the device was just like overused for me by the time the end of the show came, if that makes sense.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Is that it for episode 2?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go to episode 3, my favorite. Still feuding, Charlotte and George nevertheless have a passionate sex life, agreeing to see each other on even days so that Charlotte may get pregnant. After seeing that George also has a passion for agriculture, Charlotte decides to accept her husband for who he is and reconciles with him, deciding to be a team. Charlotte and George go to the Danbury's ball, which is a success. Afterward, Lord Danbury dies during sexual intercourse, and Charlotte awakens on the night of the ball to discover George running outside and stripping naked to praise Venus. Charlotte convinces him she is Venus and guides him back home. Okay, we'll get there. But let's talk about the beginning of episode 3, because this episode was my episode of them fucking everywhere. Every second, I was like, this is my episode.
Living for it.
Yes.
I loved it.
Me too.
The scene in the dining room. Oh, God, that tension.
The way that he, like, grabbed her dress to pull. I was like,
it wasn't even when he grabbed her dress. It was when he flipped her around.
Against the table, yes. Yeah. Oh, my God. But also, though, the thing is, too, is that, like, they were, like, so angry with each other, which made it even better because it was, like, angry sex. And I'm like, yes, this is what I need.
No, literally. But that's what I mean. Like, the whole trope with Queen and George, or like, the Queen and George was so there because, like, we literally had, like, marriage of convenience, but then we also had a little sprinkle of, like, enemies to lovers. Yes! But then we also had some really good, like, friends moment. Like, just, they were a little of everything, and I was here for it.
Same, yeah.
Especially during this episode, let me tell you.
It was so good, the mix that they did for Charlotte and George. Mm-hmm. So during this episode, I was really confused if he was, like, truly farming. Like, at this point, I was like, the way that you yelled at her still, I'm like, you're hiding something in the conversation with his mom. I was like, are you really farming, or, like, what are you doing? And I didn't know if it was true. Obviously, we learned that he is, but I thought he was, like, seeing, like, mistresses or something.
Oh, you did?
Yes!
I never got that sense at all.
Huh.
But
okay.
I think that was the point of it. We were supposed to be wondering, and we were supposed to be stressed trying to figure it out.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. The music during the ball scene. If I Ain't Got You. I'm sorry. Excuse you?
Please. When I heard that, I was like, shut up.
Me too. If I Ain't Got You, like, it's so perfect for them. Like,
some people want it all, but I don't want it all. If I ain't got you. You've got to be fucking kidding me.
It was, like, perfect. Again,
so
the
good.
music is so, they never miss for Bridgerton. It's
miss.
amazing.
No, literally.
When Lord Danbury died during sex, I was like, I just don't care. Like, I was like, this is so dumb and unnecessary, and I guess it's funny that he died during sex or whatever, but I'm like, I could go without it.
No, I agree. I mean, I understand the significance of the storyline because Lady Danbury was, like, the first one to hold or keep her title after like her husband died rather than having to remarry and like all of these things. So like I get how they led up to that, but again, it was just way too much of that. Like I did not need that. I really did not need that.
Same. When Charlotte woke up to find George, I could not even comprehend. But what killed me is that she was so kind and so loving. And this episode just really made me love her because she was just so understanding, and she clearly knew that something was wrong, but she's like, nope, like I can't freak out. I have to bring George back. And the way that she just improvised on the spot is amazing. And again, it just made me love her so much.
It was so heartbreaking to see, but also so heartwarming. And I feel like that's what this entire show was. It was just a mix of both. And like, I have to say, like, Charlotte is one of those characters that's just like so well rounded because she's so strong and so funny and so sarcastic, but also so gentle and kind, and just like really embodies like all sides of a person in one. Oh, man, I just like, I'm obsessed with her, honestly.
I know, I love her. But yeah, that is all of my notes for episode 3.
Alrighty, right into episode 4. All right. Flashbacks reveal that Princess Augusta arranged George's marriage behind his back as he was frightened of the prospect of marriage due to his uncontrollable fits and mental breakdowns. Dr. Monroe suggests there's nothing wrong with him and his breakdowns are due to a lack of discipline. Quickly falling in love with Charlotte, George removes himself from her presence to follow a grueling program set up by Monroe to break him. Feeling better and missing Charlotte, George decides to move back in with her. He dismisses Monroe only to discover that Charlotte has decided to keep him as her physician as she is pregnant. Her pregnancy triggers a mental crisis in George, leading to his late-night visions of Venus in the garden. I loved this episode because I feel like finally we got all the answers for George. And my goodness, like, my heart broke for him this whole time. Every time I saw that doctor, I had such a visceral, like, gross feeling.
Yeah.
Like, God, he was the worst. And it just really working in, sorry, now I'm going to go on my frickin' rant.
Go for
here
it.
we go. But just, like, now working in the mental health field and seeing how, like, back in the day, like, people, like, these humans were treated, like, and tortured because of, like, it makes me sick to my stomach.
I know.
Like, I know. How disgusting. Like, that's I feel like it exemplified the thing. Obviously, this was a very intense, like, whatever, but people think that you can just, like, control mental illness or, like, mind over matter.
Yeah.
But, like, that's not what, like, mental illness is. Like, if you could just, like, be like, no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I can just force those thoughts down. Mental illness wouldn't, like, that's not what it is.
Yeah.
It's not that easy and it's not that simple.
Exactly. And I think watching this show was so crazy to me because I was like, oh, it's just a show. And I'm like, no, it's not, because I know that this is more truth than fiction.
Yep.
And it also made me very, it made me feel very privileged to be born in an era where mental health is very, very well accepted. Even like 10, 20 years ago, it like still wasn't. And so this episode and his treatments in general just made me feel very thankful because I'm like, oh my gosh.
We
like,
come a long way.
Yes.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Okay. I will say the way this episode started with Charlotte and the other person, like, bathing George, just, like, talking about everything, like, broke my heart. Just to, like, see him broken down and so confused and, like, you know. I have a lot of notes, honestly, about, like, the introduction of the doctor and, like, how he was acting. Because at first, when I first met him, I was like, okay, he's like talking about like talk therapy and things like that. And I was like, okay, maybe this will be good. But then like all of a sudden we get the scene where he's like slapping him to get him back to himself. And I was like, no, this is mad fucked up.
Yeah. And also he was like, oh, you need someone to bring you back and I will be that person. And I was like, oh, that's a lot. Like,
no, literally. And then I have this note. I kind of forgot what this was in reference to, so you might have to help me remember. But I wrote, he was embarrassed, putting his plate away when she showed up, ... It's not that he didn't want her there.
I think it was in the observatory when she came to him
after he was cleaning up.
Yes.
Yep, you're right. So. But yeah, I think that was the moment where I was like, oh. Like, I feel like I finally understood him because I was like, it's not that he didn't want her there. It wasn't that, but he was so embarrassed and felt so strongly that he had to hide this that like he would rather like stay away because he really thought that was what was best for her. Like this whole time, like obviously it's not good, but like he really was trying to do what was best for people. Yeah. So there's that. I have a note here in quotes, and just like an animal, I will break you. Who the fuck is this doctor? ... Yeah. Like, the shit he says was just so gross.
Honestly, and also his lab with all of, like, his animals and stuff, I was like, oh, you're a shitty person.
What the heck? Yeah. Literally. Oh, this was a quote from George. I have my own doubts about him, but it's the only chance I have for being with her. Again. He would rather torture himself to give Charlotte the life she deserved. Like, what?
I know. Again, this episode was really eye-opening. Like, this is what I wanted. And I was nervous, though, too, because this was episode 4, and I knew we only had 2 episodes left. So I was like, okay, well, then what's going to happen? Because all that we're seeing right now is his side of the story about past events that we've already seen happen. And so that's why I felt like I needed the answers sooner, and there's not enough time to like solve whatever's gonna happen. But I do agree that like this episode showed George's heart so much, and I loved it.
It did. Yeah. And there is these little moments. For example, when George was like watching Charlotte play chess by herself. Yeah. And things like that, where I think he started to realize like maybe what I'm doing, like maybe this isn't what's best for her. Yeah. And I love those little moments where they didn't have to tell us, but it was like showing him kind of come to that conclusion and like find the strength to like not work with the doctor anymore. I literally have a note. I know we already talked about this, but like, the fact he laughed at her calling it a deformed bunny. Aww. And like the fact that at first George genuinely thought the dog was such a good idea, and he was like, in quotes, I want the queen to know we won't be caged forever. Like he was like, oh, that's a really good idea. Like she'll love it. And then the minute she hated it, he just thought it was so amusing. Like he was just so enamored by her, you know?
I know. I just like... His intentions were so pure. Like, that's what killed me. It's like, he didn't want her to be alone, you know, after she was yelling at him in the observatory of, like, I'm alone and I'm in a new world and I only know you. And he was just coming from the best place of, like, oh, I'll get her a dog.
Literally. Literally. My notes are a clusterfuck at the end. But basically, there's a scene where, like, George finally stands up to the doctor, which is great. And, like, I have a note saying, OMG, his speech to the doctor about Charlotte. Aw. And then he says, like, my bride has done more than you ever could. Yeah. And, like, I was like, hell yeah. Because I was like, it's so true because, like, yes, try to treat it. But also, like, when you get so caught up that you stop living your life, like, you have to find the balance because otherwise what's the point? You know?
Exactly.
I died when we found out she was pregnant. I was like, that was fast.
Well, also, they've been fucking everywhere.
This is true. So like, the chances were pretty high.
They were pretty high.
Yeah. Okay, I don't remember what this is about, so maybe you can help me. I have 3 notes. OMG, Charlotte is leaving, ... frowny face. OMG, Charlotte talking to his mom, ... and he can hear it. Of course, that made him want to start treatments again.
Yes.
So I forgot what that was about.
That's how the episode ends, because then after all of these past events, the episode then jumps to the present, where we see Charlotte finally confront his mom of like, oh, you knew the entire time. Like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me what I was getting into? Blah, blah. And then, like I said before, there are too many people standing outside the fucking doorway listening to conversations they should not have. And he heard it. And then that is what makes him go back to the doctor. Mm-hmm. I knew it was too good to be true. Like, no, because literally. I was like, again, when he did his speech to the doctor, I was like, yes, George, this is it. But I'm like, I feel like something's going to happen. Like, the other 100%. Shoe has to drop.
Exactly. Because otherwise there wouldn't be enough drama.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's all I have for the episode.
Yeah. Very nice. Okay. Episode 5. Okay. Charlotte is pregnant and announces plans to move into Buckingham House. Charlotte, frustrated at her lack of headway with George, writes to her brother and asks to be taken home when he visits. Charlotte visits Agatha and is encouraged to assert herself, eventually confronting Dr. Monroe and retrieving George herself. Agatha begins taking daily walks with Lord Ledger, and the two sleep together. In 1810, Charlotte betroths 2 of her sons to eligible princesses. Violet admits that her newfound sexual frustration to Agatha. This episode pissed me off because you could see just how much Charlotte was hurting, but also that like George was trying to fix himself, but she wasn't. He wasn't answering her letters, and she was writing so many letters, and it sucked. Honestly, we've been consuming a lot of media that sucks, like Happy Place, and now Queen Charlotte.
Like, not even sucks objectively, but is very, like, emotionally intensive, and it's not on purpose.
No.
Like, I was not expecting the show to get me.
Yeah, no. It, like, came out of nowhere, and I was like, oh my God. Like, this situation is the worst, and everyone is hurting, and it's... Literally. I just want things to be okay.
I know.
So, I did not need to know that Lady Danbury fucked Violet's dad. I could have gone without it.
That was so unnecessary.
Yep.
I mean, the only thing I will say, it has to come into play in the next season somehow. Otherwise, it truly will be so pointless. But even if it does come into play next season, I honestly don't really care that much about Violet's now, like, sex drive that she wants to have sex.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't care. And I didn't need that side thing of, like, Danbury having sex with her dad. Like, it just felt, again, just unnecessary.
Just so weird. And it's like, I don't care when George and Charlotte are literally having a crisis right now, okay? No, like, literally. Let's go back to them.
Yeah.
I loved that Charlotte went to Buckingham House and was like, open the door and untie the king. And she was just so powerful. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, honestly, so the power that she has, but then also the gentleness that she asserts when George finally stands up and she's just holding him.
It's
like,
so beautiful.
It really is.
Oh my God, people on TikTok have been so funny about this stuff because they're literally feeding my delusions that, like, if a guy's not talking to me, it's just because he's, like, afraid of how much he likes me and, like, he has stuff going on, so he just needs me to, like, fight for him and, like, stand up for him. And I'm like, girly. Oh my God. No, but honestly, it do be feeding our delusions.
I know.
Because that's just not the reality. But does it make us think that? A little.
Yeah, because, like, George needed her. Like, George needed her, and she went to him. And I just, like,
is right.
I know.
Is right.
But that's all that I have for episode 5. I know, I did not take a lot of notes for this episode.
That's all right. We'll just move on to episode 6.
Okay.
The final episode. A reunited Charlotte and George affirm their mutual love, and Charlotte gives birth to a baby boy. Despite his high spirits, George is unable to appear before Parliament, leading to rumors that he is unfit to rule. Meanwhile, Agatha is subtly rebuffed by Lord Ledger, and Princess Augusta is unyielding on the matter of succession. Charlotte and George successfully host a ball with the dual purpose of celebrating their son's birth and presenting George as a capable ruler. Adolphus proposes to Agatha, but unwilling to be trapped in another marriage, she rejects him. And accepting Charlotte tells Agatha that she will assist her with keeping the title. Now back in the present, Agatha subtly confirms Violet's suspicions that she had a liaison with Violet's father, and the two continue their friendship. Charlotte visits George to tell him that Princess Victoria is pregnant. The two lay together as they did in their youth. Sorry. And I tell you, I was unwell. I was unwell during this episode. I was not okay.
So I saw spoilers on TikTok. Again, no, but the thing is, again, this show wasn't on my list, so I didn't really care that I saw spoilers. But when I watched the end of this episode, I was still bawling. Like, I knew it was coming, and I still bawled my eyes out.
Oh, I'm getting like chills. Like, it is so depressing.
Yeah.
When I started the show, I did not expect
I did not sign up for this.
I have no idea what this note is, but it looks kind of funny. It says, "Yeah, bitch, you have been dismissed." In quotes, not the king, it's the queen. Well, guess what? It's because she actually cares about George. I don't understand that.
I don't understand either, but I love it. Funny. I love it.
This scene where they're in the conservatory, and in quotes, she says, "What I have not heard is that you don't love me." And then she says, "Perhaps you stay away because you care for me." And then he said, "I am a madman. I am a danger. My heart was breaking this whole thing." And then it switches, and he's like, "You bring a light." And then just like I wish I had written down what he says, but he has something like, "You're the air." What does he fucking say?
I have no clue, but I know what she says. Let me find it quick. I know what she says.
Hold on.
Bridgerton does such a good job at these declarations of love that they put like high expectations for me that are never gonna come true.
No, literally.
For season 1, I burn for you. Season 2, what does Andrew
You're the
say?
object of all my affections, or
you're the bane of my existence, or whatever.
Yeah. And then this is what he says. I found it. "From the moment I watched you try to go over that wall, I have loved you desperately. I cannot breathe when you are not near. My heart calls for you."
My heart calls to you?
Up. Shut
my
the
heart
actual
calls
heck
to you. My heart.
up.
No.
You're joking.
No. Honestly, like, the fact that they keep topping each other is insane, because I love the whole "I burn for you." Yep. And then the whole "You're the object of my desires, the bane of my existence," or whatever. And now "my heart calls to you." I'm like,
shut up. This
is
fake.
This is fake.
No, it's literally fake.
I think too, though, we need to give credit to Charlotte in this scene, because she just would not let it go.
No, she wouldn't.
I love her passion, because she loves him so much. And one of my favorite lines that she says is that she'll stand between the heavens and the earth for him. And I'm like,
but that's what I mean. We never get a woman being that vulnerable and that just like, this is how I feel.
Yes.
Now, like, I loved that so much. Me too.
I loved it so much.
And it was so fitting for her character.
Yeah.
And what he needed, because he was so scared to just let himself be happy, because he didn't want to like affect her. Yeah. I can't even tell you that. Okay. Oh my God. And then freaking right before she gave birth, don't ask me why. Maybe it's because I'm just such a kids person, but like when he was like touching her belly and talking to the baby and he said, "Hello, little king," I perished. Wait, who? Okay, I hated Princess Augusta the whole time. I thought she was such a bitch. But then at one point they were trying to like, all these men or whatever were trying to get her to say shit. And she said, "I do not remember names. I am female." I died. I was like, that's when, because she doesn't act like a stupid female all the time. But that's when she's like, okay, I'm going to play that card then, you know?
can I rewind back to the birth scene?
Mm-hmm.
I love that George was like, move. Like, you want to say
like,
the Archbishop?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, fucking move. And I don't know, the way that it's with you and kids, it's like me in support when he like comes onto the bed and he like holds her hand. She's like, you can do this. Like,
And he's just telling her a story, like, just
like that
amazing.
shit killed me.
Yep.
That shit killed me because I was like, all this time she's been strong for you, and now you need to be strong for her.
Yep.
I like could not.
Yep. It's sickening.
It's sickening.
Okay. I will say, back in the present, when two of Queen Charlotte's kids came to her saying, like, you don't show compassion, you're a horrible mother, do you know how many babies I've lost? Like, that scene was, like, so uncomfortable, but so heartbreaking because, like, while we're getting this beautiful love story, but also a love story that's so heartbreaking, and now to say that she was not a good mother, like, it was just so conflicting, and, like, realistically, we know that, like, how important it was to her to keep the line going because of, like, everything that George and her had gone through for them, and, like, that was just, like, a heartbreaking scene to me.
I agree. I think also, though, it was a really good scene for Queen Charlotte in the present. Because I feel like is no more character development for her. But this show really showed me that, like, oh, no, Queen Charlotte, her character arc is not done. And I loved that, like, this scene really challenged her to evaluate her after all of these years. Like, I thought they did a really good job at that.
I thought so, too. I agree. Then we get, like, the whole parliament scene or whatever. That broke my heart because he was so nervous and, like, whatever. And then Charlotte cheered him on and he was like, okay, I got this. But then the minute he was alone, like, he just crumpled up. And I really think, like, okay, sorry, another weird mental health thing. There's this one diagnosis called brief psychotic disorder. And it's something where, like, psychosis symptoms are brought on by, like, stress or a traumatic event or something like that. And so, like, a lot of things in the show kind of, like, reminded me of that because a lot of the times when, like, he would have these episodes was after something big happened or when he was feeling trapped or whatever. So, obviously, I don't think that's exactly what it was because there are times it just kind of happened out of nowhere. But it just really made me think of it. And that was one of the specific times because, like, the minute he was alone and actually had to face everybody, he, like, literally just, like, went into a ball. Seeing him in the carriage broke me.
It truly broke me as well. And also, like, Reynolds too, like, trying to open the door and just knowing, like, oh, he's not going inside, like, he's not getting out of this carriage. It just broke me because you have a responsibility as the king's man to do something, but it's almost like he couldn't even do anything.
I know.
And I was
I know. And then I loved seeing the Queen and Brimsley's relationship in real life, like real time.
Yeah.
Like he said, I will continue to do so until my last breath to the Queen. Like he's just so loyal and so kind. Yeah. And then she asked him like, oh, have you ever gotten married? Like whatever. And he was like, no, I did. Like that broke my heart knowing what we know about him and Reynolds. He's like, nope, I never got married.
Like, what do you mean you never got married? You don't have family? Like,
literally.
That shit broke me too.
I know. No, literally. Then we get our first scene of George and Charlotte under the bed. He's having one of the episodes and she's like trying to find George. And she finds him under the bed and he says, the heavens can't find me under here. And then she's like, come out now. And he's like, I want to, but I can't. And then she joins him under there. That broke my heart. And like the fact that he said, I want to, but I can't, like if that doesn't just encapsulate his whole struggle throughout this whole series, I don't know what does.
I know, but also like Charlotte is just, again, so understanding. I love her so much. She's just like, well, I'm going under the bed. Like it wasn't a question for her. And I just, the love that she has for George, like really came through. Like
it did. It really did. Because then George is saying, there is no better, there is no cure, which broke my heart. Yeah. And then he said again, you can leave me, I would understand and I would let you go. And then he's and And then she said, together we are whole. And then she was telling him he was whole because he's half kind and half farmer, just George.
Yeah.
Okay, skipping ahead again, this whole proposal between Agatha and Charlotte's brother, Prince Adolphus, unnecessary. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's this, I have this note that says the fact their sex scene was in a montage, I hate it, LOL. I want the full thing. But that's just me.
Wait, whose sex scene?
There was a sex scene, like, kind of when a bunch of things were happening, like when Charlotte and George were having sex. And, like, it was part of a montage, so we just got little clips. I was like, I could do with, like, a full...
Yeah. I mean, I'm due for one.
Yeah. Sorry, I saw... Okay, so my next 3 notes, okay?
Okay.
Gosh, them walking to see everyone at the ball scares me. OMG, I'm so nervous. Then, I couldn't even type. I said, OMG, they're playing Bobati Get On Me. Shut the fuck up.
Bobati Get On Me. What?
What that translates to is, oh my God, they're playing Nobody Gets Me by SZA. Shut the fuck up. When I heard that song.
Me too.
I burst into tears.
Same.
They could not have chosen a more perfect
Same!
song.
Literally, I was literally when the song came on, I was like, no, they did not pick this song. And I was like singing along with it also while I was like teary-eyed. Like, it was so perfect.
I literally started singing along. I was like, yeah, what's left of you? How am I supposed to feel? I don't want to see you. Anyone but me? Nobody like you.
Like, song selection, top tier. I would say even better than season 2 of Bridgerton. The song selection for this show was amazing.
It was next level. And then they kissed at the end of the dance, and it was just so pure because he was so happy to be there with her, and it just showed that they could do it together. Then this was just unfucking necessary.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you.
And then they started playing I Will Always Love You.
Yeah.
And we get the scene of Brimsley and Reynolds dancing. But then it transitions to Brimsley dancing by himself.
Jail. Immediate jail. That was not nice.
That was so mean.
Yeah.
I literally cannot say anything else about that because I literally can't handle it. But I will say, when Brimsley was by himself and then the other guard comes down and sees him and Brimsley's like, get the fuck out. What are you doing here? He was like, oh, if you gotta fuck off. I'm having my moment. But that's when I was like, are you seriously not going to give us any closure on what the heck happened with them?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted more of them and less of Danbury and her old motherfucker and this other old motherfucker. Like, I'm done with the old motherfuckers. Give me Reynolds and Brimsley, please.
Yeah. I think they should have had more weight in the show.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So then switches back to the present where one of Queen Charlotte's sons and his wife come to Charlotte and they tell her she's going to have an heir who they're going to name Victoria. And then at first they're like, it's going to be a girl if that's okay. And then you could just see the joy in Charlotte's face. And she was like, a strong queen is just what this country needs. And like that, it felt like such a good moment and like just so pure. Okay. Back to the ball scene again. I just thought I loved seeing George in this scene because I feel like he was a little more carefree and just able to act like himself when he was like ordering Reynolds to drink some wine with him and he was like, no, I can't do that. And then he tries to get Charlotte to drink with him and she's like, I can't because I'm pregnant again, which, damn, again? I mean, well, I guess, but
I mean, they're
y'all still
having
be
sex
fucking everywhere, but
yeah.
Exactly.
Honestly, like.
And then we get to end the...
You can't even say it! You can't even say it!
Then we get to the end of the show. We get to the end of the show. And we get the dual POVs just going back and forth of them. Well, Queen Charlotte goes in the present, Queen Charlotte goes in to tell King George, who really is kind of like full-time dealing with his illness now. Mm-hmm. And she's like, Farmer George, like trying, because like George is very much still stuck in the past and the present. And she gets him like, come hide from the heavens with me. Come hide, like, and her telling him that they're going to have an heir.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, that's like wonderful. And like, and then like we get the flashback to the past. And then like she was like, just George, Farmer George. And then he says, you did not go over the wall. And she says, no, George, I did not go over the wall. I literally, me talking about the scene does not do it justice at all, because the way that it flipped back and forth, and it was just perfect, them laying next to each other, and like, it was one of it, honestly, it was so heart-wrenching, but I thought it was like the most perfect ending I could have asked for from this show. Like,
I agree.
It was perfect.
I really thought going into this scene, I was like, I'm going to be strong because I know I have 4 minutes left in this show and I'm going to be so strong. Mm-hmm. And they're just going to go under the bed and Farmer George, whatever. And she's going to tell him that they're going to have a grandchild. I'm going to be so strong during this episode. The second he said, you did not go over the wall, I like broke.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like how far he is on his illness. The fact that he remembers that, I'm like, I'm done. I'm literally fucking done. Like, that broke me. And then there's the whole thing too, where it's like you said, it goes back and forth. And then I think, what does she say?
She said, no, George, I did not go over the wall.
Yeah, but then he said something else too.
I don't know.
I don't remember. Or something of like, oh, you're just George or whatever. Oh, no. He was like, thank you. That's what he said, right?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I was sobbing at this point, okay?
No, literally, I don't think I caught anything after you did not go over the wall, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Overall, I love this show. I mean, we've said it 100 times. We could have done less with the Violet and Lady Danbury shit. But overall, I thought it was so fantastic. And like, again, we didn't need it. But like, now that I have it, I'm so happy I do.
Same. Yeah. Like, I wasn't excited about it because I was like, oh, Charlotte, whatever. I don't really care. She's a minor character in Bridgerton, whatever. I gotta say, she is like my favorite character out of the whole Bridgerton universe. Like, she is amazing.
She is amazing. Like I said earlier in the podcast, like, just so well-rounded, so strong. Like, I want to aspire to be that kind of person.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So anyways, can't talk about it anymore. Otherwise, I will cry.
Yeah. We've done enough crying.
No, enough crying today. But Selena, do you want to tell the listeners what our episode is for next week?
Next week, Theoni and I will be casting Throne of Glass. Is that what we're doing?
Oh, is that what we decided? I don't
know. What did we decide?
Well, I wasn't sure if we were going to do our idea from last week that we were going to do this week, or if we're going to do that. I don't care either.
I don't care either. Up to you.
Let's cast Throne of Glass.
Okay, we're going to cast Throne of Glass because we've casted ACOTAR. And honestly, it's never really crossed my mind to cast Throne of Glass. But I think it's because it's so untouchable for me. Like, that show is so untouchable that I don't even want to get near it. Yep. But I'm excited because there's a lot of characters.
There are a lot of characters. We'll have to make a list and make sure we're on the same page because there's so many that I feel like I would have such a hard time, like, remembering all of them. You know?
I agree. Yeah.
Crazy. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.